Discover the incredible love story, how a hidden connection transformed a billionaire's family fortune. In the dusty heart of a small Midwestern town, Jack Reynolds toiled in his father's old mechanic shop, turning wrenches and transforming broken cars back into the lifeblood of the community. Day in and day out, he passed the grease-stained walls, echoing with laughter and the faint whir of machines. He was a simple man, but his pride swelled as he instilled in his two children the values his late father, a dedicated war veteran, had shared: hard work, loyalty, and integrity. Jack often remembered his father's weathered hands and the way they held him tightly, teaching him to respect the sweat of one's brow. But this day was different. While sifting through old belongings hidden away for years, a dusty letter caught his eye, its wax seal already broken. It spoke of a family connection to a long-lost billionaire who once roamed their town. As he unfolded that fragile piece of paper, emotions surged within him, confusion mingling with curiosity. What secrets lay behind those words? Could they offer a brighter future for his children? The allure of wealth tantalized him. If only he could help their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, whose hardware store had been a constant in their lives, always stocked with kindness and sage advice. Jack felt tightness in his chest as he thought of her ongoing struggle against bankruptcy, the prospect of losing her cherished shop looming ever closer. "Daddy, why do people get rich?" His daughter's voice broke through his thoughts. Her question, innocent and pure, tugged at the fabric of his heart. Can money buy happiness? Jack knelt beside her, frustration mingling with the love he felt for his little girl. "Sweetheart, happiness comes from within, not from the things we own." Yet the crackling tension in the air hinted otherwise. The annual town meeting was around the corner, and the buzz of grubby politics filled the local diner, where the scent of pancakes always felt like home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack took a deep breath, preparing for a whirlwind of emotions at that meeting. As townsfolk gathered, anxious murmurs filled the room, building up like storm clouds. When Mrs. Thompson stood, her voice trembled, "We need to rally together." Anger and pride resonated as voices spontaneously erupted, debating the notion of merit versus privilege. Would Jack reach out to the elusive billionaire, a man haunted by his own past, or would he risk everything the small town valued: community, loyalty, togetherness? In that moment, with eyes reflecting every member of this vibrant community, Jack felt a surge of determination. His hand hovered above the crumpled letter in his pocket. The truth remained unclear, but deep within him, he sensed that the answer lay not in wealth, but in the bonds that tied them all together. Would he seize this opportunity, or would he honor the legacy his father instilled in him, a legacy grounded in sweat, loyalty, and the pure spirit of community? The crowd quieted, the weight of his decision palpable in the air, leaving everyone yearning for a resolution. Jack prepared to step forward into the unknown, the specter of his father's values guiding him, but the looming question remained: what path would he choose? Jack's heart raced as he looked around the crowded town hall. Familiar faces stared back at him, each one filled with hope and frustration. These weren't just neighbors, they were extensions of his own family, threads woven into the tapestry of this small town. He could almost hear his father's voice, urging him to do the right thing, to protect and nurture what mattered most. "He's out there, you know," Mrs. Thompson's voice cut through his thoughts, drawing him back to the present. "That billionaire. He's a part of our roots. This town needs a miracle." Her eyes were pleading, and Jack felt the weight of her gaze. The weight of every life that depended on one good decision. Do we really want to put our trust in someone we haven't seen in decades? A skeptical voice echoed from the back. Jack turned to find Old Man Johnson scowling at the thought. "He won't care about us." He has forgotten us. Voices began to rise again, some agreeing with Johnson, others defending the idea of reaching out. Jack's palms felt clammy as he wrestled with the choice before him. He longed to help Mrs. Thompson, to save her from losing the very essence of her life's work. But the cost of that help loomed over him like dark clouds, threatening to alter the fabric of his community forever. A silence fell as he finally spoke, the microphone crackling to life, amplifying his voice. "What do we want?" Someone shouted, "Unity." "Hope," came another voice. "Love," echoed back, followed by nods and whispers of agreement. Jack took a deep breath, knowing he needed to gather all that yearning into something tangible. "Then let us take this chance. Let us reach out. But we do it together." The crowd broke into chatter, excitement bubbling under the surface, each whisper punctuated with shared dreams and trepidation. It was now or never, Jack could feel it in his bones. "What if he refuses?" someone asked skeptically. "Then we try again," Jack replied, conviction flowing through his words. "We can't let fear hold us back. Remember what this town stands for: a community built on resilience." A murmur of agreement surged through the audience. Jack's heart warmed at the sight. The spirit of togetherness stirred something deep within him. Just as the meeting was about to dissolve into chaos, a sudden noise erupted outside, honking horns and the rumble of an engine. Jack turned to see a sleek, black car pull up. The door swung open, revealing a tall figure dressed in a tailored suit. For a moment, Jack's breath caught. Was this the billionaire he'd been hearing about? As the man approached, eyes began to widen. Conversations turned into whispers of disbelief. Jack stepped forward, trying to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Hope and uncertainty tangled together in his mind. This could change everything. "Hello everyone," the man said, an air of confidence surrounding him. "I've heard there's someone here who wants to talk about family and community." Jack's heart pounded in rhythm with the invitation hanging in the air. He glanced back at Mrs. Thompson, whose gaze mirrored his own mix of fear and anticipation. Could this be the bridge that linked their past with a brighter future? Or was it just another mirage in the desert of their challenges? "Let us see what he wants," Jack muttered, centering himself for the next action. But as the crowd turned toward the newcomer, the question loomed overhead. Would this man be the savior they needed, or was he just another stranger with empty promises? The moment of truth was at hand, and Jack knew that there would be no turning back. Jack stepped forward, his mind racing. The crowd parted slightly, giving the stunned townspeople a clearer view of the man in the suit. He appeared unbothered by the stares, his own gaze full of genuine interest. There was something about him, something that didn't quite fit the image of a detached billionaire. "Thanks for welcoming me," he continued, glancing around at the faces, trying to draw them in. "My name is Lucas Bennett, and I grew up here. This place shaped who I am today. I couldn't believe it when I heard what's happening." A few of the onlookers murmured amongst themselves. Lucas wasn't a stranger like they had assumed. He was a son of the soil, a boy who once played in the very streets they walked on. Jack's heart raced with the potential of this connection. Jack could see Old Man Johnson blinking in disbelief. You grew up here?" The old man's voice was tinged with surprise. "Absolutely," Lucas replied, his tone sincere. "Every summer, I spent time at my grandmother's house just a few blocks away. This community raised me, and I owe so much to it. That's why I'm here." He paused, letting his words sink in. Tension hung heavy in the air. It was as if the very essence of small-town life had taken a breath together. Jack felt the spark of hope reigniting. "Then you know what we're facing," Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, her passion evident as she stepped closer. "The community is in peril, and we need your help. We're reaching out, but we fear the repercussions." Lucas nodded slowly, understanding coursing through his gaze. "I've seen what happens when a community is left to fend for itself. Let me help. Together, we can find a way to revitalize this place. Bring it back to life." As he spoke, Jack felt the warmth of the crowd shift from skepticism to possibility. Murmurs of agreement floated through the hall, rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Old Man Johnson's scowl began to soften. "What do you have in mind?" Jack asked, unable to hold back his eagerness. "A partnership," Lucas said, smiling. "I know I'm just one person, but I believe in collective strength. We could start by funding local projects, creating job opportunities, maybe even turning the old factory back into a place of work." The crowd erupted into conversation, enthusiasm buzzing through the air. Jack could barely keep up with the tide of emotions. But a shadow of doubt still clung to him. Is it too good to be true? He whispered to himself, contemplating the deeper implications. Could they really trust Lucas? He could offer everything they needed and more. Yet, could he deliver genuine change, or was this merely an illusion? Tension still bubbled beneath the surface as Jack's gaze flickered from Lucas to Mrs. Thompson, who held on to the edge of hope, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Let us not get ahead of ourselves," Old Man Johnson finally spoke up again, his voice steady. "It's all well and good to say words, but actions will prove everything. We need to ensure this will benefit our town, not just his pocket." Jack felt the heat of agreement wash over the crowd. They craved both answers and assurance. "Lucas," Jack finally voiced, his heart pounding, "if you want our trust, we need a plan. A real plan." Lucas nodded, his expression serious. "Absolutely. I'll set up a meeting with you and the townspeople. We'll map it out together." As the murmurs began to quiet, a sense of unity started to permeate through the room. Yet as they shared hopeful glances, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was merely the beginning. Would they be able to steer this newfound path towards revitalization? Or were they navigating into a storm that could tear their community apart? The answer hung in the air like a delicate thread, waiting to be tested. "Okay then," Jack said, gathering confidence. "Let us see where this goes." But little did they know, shadows from Lucas's past were lurking, ready to unfold in ways they never expected. The excitement in the room surged, the weight of possibility pulsing like a live wire. Jack could see Mrs. Thompson's eyes sparkle with renewed vigor, her face flushed with hope. He felt the same rush, the kind that comes when you first realize that maybe, just maybe, change is within reach. But deep down, doubt flickered like a candle. It was too perfect, too pristine. Lucas took a step back, his hands clasped in front of him as he surveyed the crowd, the energy electric around him. "Let us get this right. I'll share my story, and then we can discuss yours. We need to understand each other if we're going to make this work." A wave of agreement washed over the crowd, and Lucas continued unabated. "I didn't leave my past behind. I carry it with me every day. This town made me who I am. I want to return the favor." Old Man Johnson crossed his arms, still wary but intrigued. "Let us hear it then. What do you need?" Lucas shifted, his expression deepening with a seriousness that pulled everyone in. "I can't do this alone. I want to create a community panel, people from various backgrounds to guide and advise. You know the land, you know the needs. I can provide funding, but you'll shape the vision. Together, we can bring back the spirit of this town." A murmur rippled through the room, uncertainty mingling with excitement. A panel? The idea sparked something in Jack. He saw familiar faces lighting up. "What if we invite everyone?" he proposed, catching a glimpse of renewed optimism. "People from the farms, the schools, the families who once called this town home." "Exactly!" Lucas shouted, his enthusiasm infectious. "We can invite them all, hold an open town hall meeting. The more voices, the stronger our foundation." As the crowd began buzzing with ideas, Jack felt himself smiling for the first time in months. They were on the cusp of something real. But as he looked toward Lucas, he noticed a shadow clouding the billionaire's gaze. Was he truly committed, or was this a facade? A mask hiding intentions yet to be revealed? The meeting was decided, and the energy transformed into tangible plans. Flyers were tossed around, ideas simmered, and excitement echoed. Jack stayed by Lucas's side, his curiosity piqued. "You mentioned growing up here, what did you leave behind?" Lucas hesitated, the question hanging like a flickering light bulb. "Some memories are painful," he admitted, lowering his voice just enough for Jack to hear. "Not all ties are easy. Coming back isn't just about what this place can do for me. It's about facing my past." Jack bit his lip, struck by the revelation. "You mean? I had a family, a life here," Lucas confessed quietly. "But certain things changed. People I lost. Decisions I regret. It's hard to remember the good sometimes." The crowd swelled in the background, laughter and ideas bouncing around, but Jack felt a world of sorrow seeping through the cracks in Lucas's bravado. "You can talk to us," Jack offered, feeling an urge to connect. "We're here. We want to help you as much as you want to help us." Lucas looked at him, and for a moment, Jack saw vulnerability. "I hope that's true." As they organized the first town hall meeting, Jack glanced out at the fading sun. It was mixed feelings, a promise, a challenge, but also shadows lurking. Just as quickly as hope blossomed, the fear of the unknown tightened its grip. Could they build a new future while navigating the complexities of the past they were all tied to? The next morning, anticipation flooded over the town. But lurking in the bright sunlight was an even darker shadow, someone from Lucas's past who might be willing to destroy everything. What would happen when they found out why Lucas truly left? Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. And as a soft breeze rustled through the trees, he wondered if they could fight against the storms yet to come. The sun rose over the town, casting long shadows that flickered like secrets. Jack stepped out of his front door, inhaling the fresh morning air laced with the promise of new beginnings. He made his way to the town square, where the first hints of excitement from the gathering for the town hall meeting was set for later that day. He felt an electric pulse of possibility and tension all at once. As he approached, familiar faces filled the square. Mrs. Thompson was arranging chairs, her hands moving with determination. "Jack!" she called out, her smile wide. "Are you ready for this? I can feel the energy today." Jack nodded, his heart racing. He felt a thrill ripple through him, but that flicker of doubt returned. "Do you think everyone will show up?" "They will," she said confidently, adjusting her glasses. "People are hungry for change, Jack. They want to be heard." Lucas arrived just then, his demeanor bright and engaged, but there was an underlying tension that Jack couldn't shake. As Lucas moved amongst the townspeople, shaking hands and sharing laughs, Jack watched closely. He could see how true this effort seemed, but also how fragile. Once the chairs were arranged, the crowd grew, voices merged into a murmur, excitement bubbling beneath the surface. Jack joined Lucas at the front, catching snippets of conversations all around. Some reminisced about their childhoods, others discussed what they hoped to see in the town's future. Jack felt a swell of pride at the opportunity they had created together. "Are you ready?" Lucas whispered to Jack, his gaze scanning the crowd. "More than ever," Jack replied, though a part of him still wondered about the mystery surrounding Lucas's past. Just as Lucas stepped forward, intending to kick off the meeting, the atmosphere shifted. A noise at the edge of the crowd caught Jack's attention. An unfamiliar figure emerged from the back, a figure whose very presence darkened the once vibrant air. Jack's heart dropped as he recognized the man, Mark, Lucas's estranged brother. His scowl and the way he pushed through the crowd sent an icy chill down Jack's spine. The tension was palpable. What was he doing here? "Looks like we're in for a surprise," Jack muttered under his breath, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. Lucas's expression darkened, a flicker of panic crossing his features. It was as if a cloud had descended, stifling the earlier joy. "Everyone, please listen," Lucas began, but his voice wavered as he faced Mark. "This is about bringing us together, not tearing us apart." Mark's laughter sliced through the air. "Together? After all those years, Lucas? You think you can just come back here and fix things?" The crowd shifted uneasily. Whispers rippled through the gathering, doubts creeping in like shadows, threatening to douse the flames of hope. Jack could see anger and frustration building inside Lucas, and he felt a sudden urgency to take control. "We are here for a purpose," he called out, his voice rising above the murmurs. "Everyone deserves a chance, including Lucas. This isn't just about him, it's about all of us, our shared future." The crowd began to respond, voices rising with agreement, but Mark stood tall, challenging them all. "And what about the past? Can you really trust him?" As tensions flared, Jack's heart raced. The stakes had just risen, and their effort to rebuild was at risk. Could Lucas confront his brother and rise above the past that threatened to overwhelm them? The crowd's energy shifted from excitement to uncertainty, teetering on the brink of division. Jack took a deep breath, knowing this moment could make or break everything. Could they forge ahead despite the shadows lurking over them, or was the town's vision doomed before it even started? The questions hung heavy as they stood in that moment, a collective breath drawn, waiting to see how it would unfold. Lucas took a step forward, steadier now, a fierce determination shining in his eyes. "Mark, it's not just about the past. It's about moving forward. It's about healing," he said, his voice carrying through the crowd like a lifeline. But Mark's sneer deepened, making the air around them thick. "Healing? You think people will forget everything? Just because you put on a nice face and throw together a meeting?" His words landed hard, and murmurs of doubt flared again. As Jack watched, he could see the struggle within Lucas. This was no mere family feud, this was a stark confrontation in front of the whole town, a battle for the future of the vision they were building. With every hesitance, the energy from the crowd waned like a dimming light. "Remember what we used to say?" Lucas exclaimed suddenly. The crowd stilled, leaning in. "We were the dreamers, the ones who believed in a better future." "Dreamers?" Mark mocked, crossing his arms. "What have you done for this town besides make promises? How many times have you walked away?" The collective tension in the square felt like a tightly wound spring. Jack could almost hear the thrum of anxious hearts in the crowd. He could see people glancing at each other, weighing Mark's words. Would they step back into fear, or would they hold firm to their hope? Just then, a voice piped up from the side, clear and innocent. "My mom says we need to give each other a chance." Little Ellie, Mrs. Thompson's granddaughter, stood with her curly hair bouncing as she debated fiercely with a tiny fist held high. "That's the only way we can be a good town." A mix of chuckles and smiles spread through the crowd. The tension cracked, the warmth of innocent words glowing like a spark. It was a powerful reminder change starts with choices, with the courage to believe. "See?" Jack said, his voice stronger now. "Even Ellie knows that. We all want to be heard, and we all want better, but it starts with us standing together." Lucas took a breath, nodding towards Jack, and then turned to the crowd. "We are here because we love this town. Because we want to fight for it together." For a fleeting moment, Jack thought he saw something shift in Mark's stance, perhaps a flicker of doubt, but it vanished just as quickly. The weight of his presence loomed heavily, a shadow casting over what could be a light. "Let us not be divided by who has done wrong in the past," Lucas pressed on, the strength in his voice a buoy against Mark's darkness. "Let us embrace the chance to forgive and grow. Can we, right now, decide to work together?" The crowd seemed to pause, holding its breath with him. Jack's heart raced. Would they? Could they truly choose unity over division? Mark scoffed, shaking his head as if the very idea was impossible. "So you think one little speech can change everything?" As Lucas opened his mouth to respond, a sudden rustling from the crowd drew their attention. A brief murmur grew louder, echoing their hesitations and fears, but it was laced with something else: hope. "Together. We want to move forward," someone shouted out from the back. A sea of voices soon followed, rising in a hesitant chorus, calling for unity against the dread Mark seemed to represent. It was as if they were lifting the voices of everyone they had cared for, those lost in the shadows of silence, those who had been waiting for a chance. Jack felt a swell in his chest, emotion pooling as he looked back at Lucas. They were on the edge of something fragile yet powerful. It wasn't just about Lucas facing his brother, it was about the whole town facing its fears and choosing their future together. But the question echoed through the square, leaving a chilling sensation: would Mark let them? As the scene unfolded, Jack braced himself, sensing that the town's fate hinged on how this battle would play out. Could they pull themselves together, or was the rift too deep to mend? And in that moment, a distant siren wailed, cutting through their deliberations, hinting at even more forces at play, forces that could change everything once again. The wail of the siren sliced through the tension like a knife, bringing a momentary pause to the escalating chaos in the square. Jack's heart beat faster. He could feel the energy shifting again, a ripple of uncertainty washing over the crowd. Faces turned toward the sound, eyes wide with questions. What was happening now? Lucas looked over at the local police car pulling into the square, lights flashing, casting an eerie glow against the growing dusk. A few mothers instinctively pulled their children closer. Mark's smirk faded, replaced instead with a calculated glare. The arrival of the authorities changed the stakes, nothing felt safe anymore. What now? Mark scoffed, breaking the silence. You think they came to join your little rally of reconciliation? Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Lucas's moment of strength seemed in jeopardy. He could envision the police asking them to disband, to step back into the shadows of the past rather than face their uncertain future. But Lucas wasn't backing down. He squared his shoulders, drawing strength from the murmurs of support that still lingered in the air. "This isn't over," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. As the officers stepped out of the car, Jack saw one of them, Officer Williams, who had been a friend to many in the town. He stepped forward, hands raised, trying to quell the crowd, to remind them of their shared history and the importance of maintaining peace. "We're not here to break up this gathering," Officer Williams called. "We just want to ensure everyone is safe." His voice was firm yet compassionate, bringing a nod of reassurance from some in the crowd. "There have been some complaints about the noise, but what I hear, a passion for your community, is something to be honored." The air shifted slowly, the palpable fear mingling with something else, curiosity. People began to listen more closely. The siren had not just interrupted, it had redirected their focus. "Do you think Mark wants to see this town thrive?" Lucas challenged, his voice cutting through the hesitation. "He thinks we should bury our heads in the sand. That we should stay divided. But we need to look forward." Mark's eyes blazed. "You're just a dreamer, Luke. Dreamers get nothing done. Might as well dream our way into the future," Lucas shot back, his resolve igniting anew. "We can't fight tomorrow's battles when we haven't even learned from yesterday." A quiet murmur began, growing louder as more voices rallied to Lucas's side. Words like together, unite, and change emerged from the crowd, like an anthem of hope rising against the tides of fear. Jack felt tears prick his eyes. This was it. This was their chance. If they could push through this moment, it could alter everything. But as the chorus of voices thrummed, Jack's gaze flicked back to Mark. Everything hinged on the man's response. Would he choose to break the pattern of hostility and join this crucial conversation, or would he cling to the bitterness that had festered for so long? Suddenly, Mark straightened, his face unreadable. "And what if we try and fail? The question hung heavily in the air, igniting a new wave of doubt, but it was a doubt that felt different. It was questioning the risk of inaction, the danger of letting fear continue to hold them back. Before anyone could answer, Officer Williams stepped forward again, looking directly at Mark. Failure is part of growth. It's part of being human. But staying stuck, that's a choice. And I think this town deserves better. The words settled over them, a heavy cloak of reality mingling with hope. Jack's chest tightened as he awaited Mark's reaction. Mark? Ellie's small voice broke through the tension, her innocence shining like a beacon. Can't we all just try? Please? The crowd shifted, a wave of emotion crashing in from all sides. Would Mark unleash more fire, or would he rise to this moment? Jack held his breath, the future of their town teetering on the edge. As Mark's eyes narrowed, almost contemplating, a loud crash echoed from behind the crowd, causing heads to turn sharply. What was it now? The story wasn't done yet, and Jack realized they were still standing at the precipice of change, fate unspooling before them. What else lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to unfold? The crowd gasped as a figure stumbled into view, a bicycle lying crumpled on the ground beside him. A young man, clearly shaken, wobbled as he tried to regain his balance. He looked around, confusion in his eyes, directing all attention away from the tense standoff between Lucas and Mark. Jack's heart seized. This was just what they didn't need, a distraction that could fracture their fragile moment of unity. But as the crowd leaned in closer to investigate, the young man raised his hand, fingers trembling like leaves in a windstorm. I am sorry. He stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean to crash the rally. I was just trying to make it through. I thought. His words trailed off, uncertainty gripping him. Make it through? Mark's voice dripped with sarcasm. What do you mean by that? This town, it feels different, right? People are talking. I heard about the call for change and I wanted to get involved, the cyclist said, his resolve strengthening as the crowd's focus shifted from apprehension to curiosity. A few heads nodded. Lucas stepped forward, his earlier tension easing slightly. What's your name? Nate, he replied, gaining courage from their attentiveness. I moved here a few weeks ago. I don't know much about the history, but I feel I sense something's wrong. I wanted to help. Jack exchanged a glance with Lucas, both realizing the potential in this unexpected twist. Here was someone untouched by the town's bitter past, someone who could offer a fresh perspective. Look, Nate continued, I crashed into the middle of your talk because I believe there's a chance here. We might mess up, but isn't it worth trying to bring people together, even the ones who disagree? Isn't failure better than standing still? Mark's expression flickered, doubts battling within him. Jack could see the internal struggle. Nate's bravery was tugging at the seams of his resistance. Failure isn't my concern, kid, Mark retorted, but the fire in his voice dimmed. It's the fear that people don't want to change. That they're too lazy to have a hard conversation. Nate tilted his head, undeterred. Even laziness can be changed. You just need to lead with passion. Things will shift if we all try together. The crowd hung on his words, the mood shifting like the wind. Jack felt the tension ripple through them, the hope igniting like a flame long hidden under ashes. Officer Williams stepped back, observing the scene unfold. There was something almost magical about it. They were on the edge, leaning into each other's stories, and maybe a spark of understanding was beginning to crack the cold wall built over years of resentment. Mark, Lucas implored, how long will you let fear decide what our town could become? Look at Nate. He's new here and he can see something we're missing. People also don't want their lives interrupted, Mark replied, softer now, but the fight was still there. We can't just pretend that all is well. Then let us not pretend. Ellie chimed in, her enthusiasm washing over the crowd. Let us talk, let us fight, but let us do it together. We deserve more than silence. Jack could feel it, the air crackling with new possibilities, a thread binding them together. The square felt alive, pulsing with something electric courage. But just as a significant shift seemed inevitable, a voice rang out from the outer edges of the square, shattering their moment. What's this? More fools chasing dreams? Everyone turned, eyes narrowing as a man stepped through the crowd, a swagger in his step that felt all too familiar, the kind of swagger that chilled Jack's bones. What had they awakened with their push toward change? Would Mark rise to the moment, or would fear tighten its grip once again? The newcomer planted himself in the square, arms crossed, a smirk stretching across his face. Jack felt the air shift, tension rising like a tide threatening to swallow them whole. This man, with his nonchalant demeanor, was a reminder of all the ways fear lingered in their community. Who invited you to this little tea party? The stranger scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. He scanned the crowd, his gaze landing on Mark, who appeared both wary and apprehensive. Look, we're trying to talk here. Mark shot back, his frustration boiling over. This isn't a joke. Talk? You mean sit around holding hands and singing songs about change? That won't work. You think they'll just go along with it? People like their chaos just as it is, the man taunted, a glint of amusement in his eyes. Jack's heart pounded in his chest. This felt like a pivotal moment, the kind that dictated the future of their town. Mark's voice, usually a commanding presence, faltered. It tugged at Jack's insides, the fear seeping through. But then Nate stepped forward, his determination palpable amidst the chaos. Change doesn't happen without a little risk, Nate said firmly, meeting the stranger's gaze. We've got to face our fears together, not back away from them. You can either be part of the solution or stay stuck in the mess. The crowd murmured, some nodding in agreement. Hope flickered again, but the stranger simply laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the square. You really think a bunch of misfits can change anything? You're in over your heads. Lucas moved closer to Nate, his voice low but steady. Don't let him rattle you. We've come too far. The stranger scoffed again and took a step forward, crowding Nate's space. And what do you know about our town? Nothing. You're just a kid on a bike, playing hero. Nate's jaw clenched, but he held his ground. I might be new, but I'm not blind. I see people who are tired of fighting each other instead of uniting. Jack watched the exchange, his heart racing. The strength in Nate surprised him. It was as if he pulled from a well of bravery, something Mark desperately needed. People will listen if we give them something real to believe in, Nate continued, his voice rising above the growing chatter of the crowd. Not hollow speeches, but actual actions. We can bridge the gaps. We can change the narrative. Okay, but how? Mark finally spoke up, vulnerability creeping into his voice. What does that even look like? Nate paused, the weight of the question heavy, but determination shone through. For starters, we start by listening. The people need to feel heard. Let us hold discussions, meetings, maybe a town hall where everyone can share, not just the loudest voices. The stranger's face twisted in disbelief. You think they're going to sit down and talk it over, like it's a friendly debate? That's naive. Naive or not, it's a start, Nate replied, his voice steady. Mark looked at the crowd, and Jack held his breath. It felt like a tightrope, teetering over the abyss. Would they take that leap with Nate? Officer Williams stepped back into view, eyes narrowing at the stranger, who still loomed ominously. This is a public space. If you're not here to contribute positively, I suggest you leave. The resoluteness in Williams' voice ignited something in the crowd. Jack could sense the shift, the turn of their shared nervous energy morphing into a united front. But as the stranger's laughter faded into a silence more threatening than his jeers, Jack's mind raced. What would be the next chapter for their town? Could the call for real change drown out the voices of doubt? Before he could dwell on it further, a crackle erupted from the loudspeaker, a voice filtering through the chaotic energy. "Attention, everyone. We need to address what's happening right here, right now." Jack's heart pounded. What now? Who would stand up next, and what would it mean for them all? The unexpected voice broadcasted down like thunder, silencing the square. Everyone turned toward the stage, their collective gaze locked on the loudspeaker. It was Lucas, stepping back into focus, his resolve renewed even in the eye of chaos. The stranger may have thought he was a storm, but Lucas was about to become the eye, calm and collected. "Everyone, this is our moment," Lucas began, standing tall, despite the weight of Mark's presence and the stranger's ridicule. "We've borne the burden of the past long enough. Today, it's time for honesty. Here, in front of the people we've grown up with and those who have just joined us, we embrace real conversations." Mark shifted, uncertainty washing over his usually steadfast demeanor. "Even if what we face is uncomfortable," Lucas continued, his voice steady as an oak, "we will forge connections. Not only through our successes but through our failures. The pain, the joys each story woven strengthens the fabric of this community. Your voice matters all the more now, as we stand at the crossroads." Jack caught Nate's eye, the young man's resolute determination reflected back at him, a mirror of the community's burgeoning spirit. Jack raised his voice above the murmurs, "We can't let fear dictate our choices anymore. We've all felt the isolation of misunderstanding, so let us change that narrative. Let us embrace every voice." Whispers of agreement swirled through the crowd, hands clapping in encouragement. It felt like a wave crashing against the rocky shore, pushing against generations of silence. "Change isn't just about change itself," Lucas pressed on, "it's about transformation. Transforming our relationships, our fears, and nurturing connections. Today, let us put past hostilities behind us and move forward with purpose. If we can open the door, we can bring in new light. Maybe why I ended up here is a part of that." Mark finally spoke, his voice faltering as if he were unraveling doubts he had held tightly for too long. "I've watched this town suffer, even when I turned my back on it. Maybe I need to acknowledge that I have more to learn than I thought." The crowd paused, then erupted in murmurs and gasps. It seemed like an unforeseen leaf had turned a corner, and walls were beginning to crack. "Together, we can shape this community." Nate ventured once more, the hope in his chest ready to burst. "When I think of home, I think of the compassion and warmth that binds us all. We can center our focus on joy and laughter, create spaces for our children, and preserve the history that connects us." For the first time, Jack saw old resentments beginning to deflate, as smiles emerged among the townsfolk. It was a vision of unity, one that could stand even in the face of discontent. But just as hope began to sway stronger, that sinister stranger stepped forward once more. "You think this will wash away years of disillusionment? People won't just come together because of a heartfelt speech. Maybe it starts with a heartfelt conversation." Jack shot back, feeling a surge come up from within, fueled by rallying emotion. "Notice how everyone is leaning in, exploring possibilities. The moment we let our stories mingle is when we birth understanding." That subtle shift in the crowd encouraged Lucas. He stepped closer to Mark, a newfound camaraderie forming. "All of us, irrespective of our history, carry unimaginable potential to create something beautiful. Let us lift each other up rather than stay stuck in our silos." Time seemed to suspend, and the air crackled with the electricity of possibility. Jack sensed the townspeople weighing their past grievances against the palpable need for change. And just like that, the stranger's grip started to weaken. Unease flickered across his face. Before another chain of harsh words could slip from his mouth, Officer Williams stepped forward again, placing a firm hand on the man's shoulder with a steady gaze. "You can either choose to be part of this town's resurrection, or you can leave us be. We stand united." At that, The stranger raised his hands in defeat, a flicker of disbelief masking his arrogance. Fine. But good luck holding on to that optimism. Lucas took this as the moment to address the crowd. Let us share our hopes, our passions. One step at a time. We'll hold meetings, and yes, we will face our fears in this journey. Let us not let one voice of cynicism drown the melody of our resurrection. Cheers broke out, the optimism washing over them like a tide reclaiming the shore. Discussions blossomed as everyone began to share stories, laughter mixing with tears, a release of long-held sorrow and the influx of newfound hope. Nate stood beside Jack, his earlier fear dissipating in the glow of connection. You think we did it? He whispered, wonder spilling from his eyes. Not just yet, Jack smiled, heart swelling. But we just took a monumental step. It's about momentum. Creating this bridge takes all of us. The sun dipped low in the sky, cascading golden light across the square, illuminating faces lit with joy and determination. The heartbeat of the community began to synchronize, and for the first time, Jack felt the weight of history lift. Old wounds were still there, yet a new vision blossomed, and faith started threading together the fabric of their lives. This isn't just the awakening of one person's journey but the revival of hopes woven into the pulse of the community. Jack knew in his soul this was just the beginning. Each person was a brush, painting a fresh canvas for all to witness, a canvas alive with possibility, where love would transcend time, fear, and doubt. As they came together to map their future, an undeniable truth enveloped them: change is born from connection. And with that revelation, they stepped into tomorrow not just as a town, but as a family. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for stories that ignite hope. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so others can experience this journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let your voice be part of our story. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us spread the message of change.